What's going on, everybody? Dad Bots in here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to go over what GM's biggest mistake is with the C8 Corvette. Now, I know everyone's saying this car's amazing, it's great, blah, blah. Yes, it is. It's awesome. It is an amazing car. Best bang for your buck car you can get, in my opinion, the $60,000 to $70,000 market. You cannot beat this car. But there is one major mistake that GM made, and we're going to go over that. But as you can tell, big Corvette fan, love the C8. I can't wait for mine to come in. Should be here within the next month. I'm super excited. But there is one thing I don't like, and the one thing I don't like is one thing that basically every Corvette owner and every person who wanted one of these cars or would like to see these cars do well is this is their biggest mistake. But first, let's go over some details of the car. First off, the car's mid-engine now looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. Second, the car is making a decent 495 horsepower, which is breaking down to like people are getting like 440, 450 wheel. Not too bad. The biggest upgrade though to the Corvette, other than it being mid-engine now, is the dual clutch transmission. I get it. Everyone's like, I want a manual, I want a manual, I want a manual. I get that. I'm a manual guy myself. Love manuals. They're way more fun to drive. But when you get behind the wheel of a dual clutch transmission car, it is absolutely insane. I mean, it's just, it shifts faster than you can even think that it's shifting. It is crazy. I don't understand it. It works. Well, I do understand it. I understand the theory behind it and how it's like one, alternate. I get that, but still, it's crazy. It's crazy fast, and that's what puts down these awesome 0 to 60 times. For under 500 horsepower, you're getting a 2.8, 2.9 0 to 60, and I know some people are saying they're getting 2.6, but I'm gonna say average like 2.8, 2.9. So under 3 seconds, 0 to 60 off of 500 horsepower is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. That's like stock cars. That's completely stock. So now I want to go into what the biggest mistake is. The absolute biggest mistake is not allowing people to tune the cars. And now I understand what you're saying. You're like, what do you mean they're not allowing if you're new to the kind of aftermarket world for cars? But basically the ECU, so the computer on the car, is locked. Okay, that's not a big issue because a lot of aftermarket people can normally figure it out on other cars. So like every car basically comes locked from the factory, but people they understand the code or whatever they do, they figure it out and then they get to tune the car, and that's how you can make more power. You can control basically when you can tune a car, you control everything. Control shift points, fuel ratio, timing. Whole mess. You can do everything, basically. So, GM is saying, we are not going to help you, as in the aftermarket people, tune this car. We're not going to help you break the ECU. Which, GM has been known to have ECUs that are, like, extremely intricate and solid and unbreakable, basically. But this is like a whole nother level. Like, for example, if any of you guys are from the diesel truck world, Duramaxes, like the newer Duramaxes, some of them you just can't break them. It takes people years to figure out how to break the ECUs to then, like jailbroken on an iPhone kind of deal, to then get in and be able to tune the car. So, with that being said, there are some people that are claiming that they can do aftermarket mods, such as there's a few companies like Complete Street Performance. For example, they have a twin turbo kit out for the car. And you're like, well, how can you twin turbo a car if you can't tune it? They use a piggyback system, which basically a piggyback system breaks down to you're tricking the ECU to read these certain numbers to then provide the right power and stuff that you want. But it's not a very clean or efficient way to do it. Now, granted, Complete Street Performance, their system, they've proven it, that it works, it's awesome. But I'm pretty sure even they would agree with me on this one. They would much rather be able to just go into the ECU and tune it that way instead of worrying about the piggyback system. Now, it is what it is. With the piggyback system, you can also unplug it, and the car will revert itself back to stock. Well, after you take all the parts off, but the actual coating and everything goes to stock, And then technically you're not voiding a warranty then, because they can't be like, oh, you tuned your car. No, I didn't. I can't flash the ECU. So that part's kind of cool, but the thing is that it's so hard to make extra power with a piggyback compared to ECU tuning that it's ridiculous. But with that being said, there are some people that have done it, like Complete Street, and they have found out that the stock C8 clutch, the clutches in the C8, so in the dual clutch transmission, can normally hold up to like 650 wheel horsepower. When you start going above that, you get really dicey, clutch slipping, and even at 650, I'm going to assume like it could probably hold 650 for a while. But eventually, it's going to start slipping, and then you have to upgrade your clutches. And that's like the biggest thing for the people that are going for the world records that have to do built motor and all this stuff. When they're trying to break these records, they're just trying to find a clutch that can hold the power. It's not hard for them to build a motor that can handle 1,500 horsepower and a turbo setup that can do it. It's the fact that getting the clutches to hold it and then still be able to drive like on the street and not like clunk around everywhere and all that stuff. That's the issue. But the thing is that the aftermarket people are begging GM to let them tune this car. Now, I get kind of why GM is saying no. I understand why they are, because they're saying like, well, if you were a company, right, and you're making these cars, this is the base model car that's out right now, the absolute base model car. Well, why would you want someone to be able to take that base model, which will say is like 20, 30 grand less than your next model, which would be the Z06, but then you can take that base model and have it perform just as well as the Z06. You're like, and or better, GM's like, oh no, I want you to, enjoy our base model car, then sell it or keep it and buy another Z06 because you want to increase your power, and then you get your warranties and stuff like that. But there's a big reason why I don't think that should be an issue. I don't think GM has to worry about that at all, really, because the Z06 is a completely different motor. People are falling in love with the spy shots of the Z06 and the video clips just because it is a flat plane crank now. It revs out to like 8,500 RPMs is what people are leaking out there. 8,500 RPM. It sounds more Ferrari than a Ferrari does. It's crazy. It sounds amazing. But then that's my counter argument to GM is like, okay, you're not just adding power to the same motor that's in the Stingray or the C8 base model. You're changing everything. So there is really no difference, because like, so say even if you can tune a Stingray at this point, you let everybody tune it with a twin turbo, they're making 650 or 600, what the Z06 is supposed to be making. If they're at the same power level, it's still going to sound completely different. A twin turbo car sounds way different than a flat plane crank car. And then even if you want to get in the turbo and the flat plane crank, now you're making way over 600 horsepower if that motor can hold the boost. But I mean, it's a completely different ballgame. And to be honest, at that point, if you're spending a lot of money on twin turboing a Stingray C8 just to meet the same requirements as a Z06, if you're already messing with that much money, because these turbo kits are still like 20 grand, you're already talking like Z06 money. Maybe it won't be the 3LT Z07 package or whatever, and the most expensive, but you're already talking Z06 money. So the performance is going to be like the same. I would personally love to have that flat plane crank, that sound with the same power. I would go with that, with the flat plane crank on the Z06. Now, where it would get more dicey is with the Z06 and the ZR1, if they use the same motor, but the ZR1 is just because it's just, now twin turbo of the Z06 motor, which is the flat plane crank. Then I see why GM would be like, no tuning, because then you're going to, compete, because you're, competing with yourself at that point, and then aftermarket. And I'm sorry, GM has nothing. Like, they cannot beat the aftermarket, because aftermarket people take cars and they just throw a ton of power into them, and it works, and it makes crazy builds, but that's what makes cars great, especially performance cars. But that's the thing. GM, you don't need to keep blocking people from tuning these cars. Like, let them tune it. You already have the hype with the Z06. It's crazy. I mean, the next video I'm going to put out is going to be talking about how the Z06 literally broke the car market, or is going to break it, because it's the demand for the regular C8 everybody thought was crazy. The Z06, after the spy shots and the leaked videos, it's going absolutely crazy. But the thing is you don't even have to twin turbo a Stingray to get the power, right? So supercharging is basically, it's normally cheaper than turboing a car. It's normally easier to do, but it's still going to provide you that 600 wheel horsepower that like a low boost twin turbo would. Now, there is one other reason why I see GM saying, no, do not, like, I don't want you to be able to tune these cars. Because they know as soon as they say, hey, you can tune this car, that people are going to be throwing twin turbos, superchargers, pro chargers. They're going for it all, right? We got that. Now, the issue I see is maybe the motor in the Stingray, the stock motor, not built, nothing, stock motor that's there, can't handle that much boost. Now GM's going, okay, so I don't want you guys to boost it because, yeah, you guys will make it awesome car, but now you're going to be blowing motors left and right. And then you're going to say that, oh, GM's motor or the LT1 motor or whatever is garbage, blah, 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 base C8's garbage, you can't do. Well, really, it's not. You just put too much boost to it. So technically, then you have to build the motor. So I can see why GM's like, hey, don't do it because it might be a reputation thing. Because like you can go out buy, now this is obviously double the price, triple the price of a C8, but you can go buy a Huracan with a stock motor and trans, send it down to someone like Sheepy Race or Underground Racing, and you can get a 1,200 horsepower or 1,000 wheel horsepower twin turbo Huracan with a stock motor, stock trans. And they're like, oh, this is amazing. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do that with a C8. Because I don't think that motor can handle the boost. But, I mean, let the people try. Like the Supra, for example. If any of you guys watch my channel, you know I have a Supra. That Supra is awesome. But Toyota, BMW, whatever you want to call it, was like, hey, on the 2020 models, go for it. Shoot for the moon. And people did. And people are finding out the motor can handle 900 horsepower, which might not be GM's thing. This might be why they're like, oh, I don't want to do this. We're not built for that. But, I mean, some of these Supras are throwing on big turbo, putting a ton of boost on beadlocks, and they're running like 9 seconds. Like, crazy. It's crazy. But let the aftermarket figure that out. Let us do that. If we know that us that are modifying these cars, we know you got to pay to play. Nothing's free, right? Nothing's going to be like, oh, let me add a $20,000 twin turbo kit. And that's it, right? Nothing's going to break. Nothing's going to happen. We all know, we're all dumb enough to have done it before and know that when you add power to these cars, eventually you're going to break something. It might not be the first time, it might not be the second time, it might not be the 90th time. But one of these times, something's going to break. But we all know that, and even though we know it, we still love to do it because we're idiots who like to throw our money around. I don't know. But seriously, GM, the C8 Corvette is an amazing car. Anyone that is questioning on like maybe I should get one, or maybe you're waiting for the market to die down, I'm rooting for you. I hope it does die down a little bit, but not looking too good right now. But if you're waiting, trust me, this car is 100% worth it. I'm going to be doing full reviews when my car comes in. Breakdown, which in case any of you guys care, mine is a 2LT C51 package, Rapid Blue, Coupe, not HTC. I'm not a big convertible guy. But it looks amazing. But I'll be doing full reviews on that. But that's what I think. I mean, I really think that those might be the reasons that GM is saying you can't tune these cars. But it's time. Like, just it's been like two years now, almost 3. Let us learn the hard way. Let us learn the hard way and screw it up and cost us a bunch of money. That's fine. It's not costing you money, GM, because if we can tune the car, then you're going to be like, well, we saw you tune it. We're not giving you a free motor under warranty. It is what it is. So, there it is. C8 Corvette's biggest mistake that they could possibly make was not letting the car be tuned, or not making it easier for people to jailbreak it. And you can all put all your money on this. I'm not a financial advisor, but if I was a betting man, I would say as soon as someone cracks that code to be able to tune the C8 Corvette, it is going to be off to the races. You're going to see crazy numbers, crazy cars with people just taking the C8 Corvette, throwing a ton of power at it, blowing them up, wrecking them, doing all that fun stuff, but they're going to be doing some crazy things, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be beautiful, and it's the American power. All right? But that's it. That's all I got. The C8 Corvette, biggest mistake, not being able to tune. GM, please let us figure it out, and we will have a good one. But if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you smash that like button. Definitely subscribe. Tell anyone and everyone you know to hop on the Dad Bod Season train. Join the Dad Bod Season family, and I'll see you next time. Dad Bod Season out.